A man, paralyzed and seeking vengeance, gets an AI chip implanted into his brainstem. But as the story unfolds, unexpected twists emerge. Stay tuned to know what happens next. Today, I'm going to share with you an exciting action and science fiction movie called Upgrade. But be careful, I'll be revealing some spoilers, so keep that in mind. Meet Gray Trace, a skilled mechanic, who's busy fixing a car engine in his garage. Once he's done, he grabs a drink and waits for his wife, Asha, who works for Cobalt, one of the companies contributing to human-computer augmentations. She arrives in her automated car and they happily greet each other. Inside their house, they have an amazing AI system that welcomes them. Gray tells Asha about finishing a project and asks her to help him deliver a car to his client. He needs her car for the trip, so he doesn't get lost later. Asha isn't so sure at first, but Gray's description of the fancy client's house gets her interested. They then start their journey with their electric car following them. Their destination is the home of Aaron Keene, a famous tech innovator, and Gray's client. He spends his time inventing things, like the AI, or artificial intelligence chip, which he shows to Gray and Asha. He claims this chip has incredible powers and can do just about anything. After checking out Aaron's invention, Gray and his wife start heading home. But suddenly, their car starts going in the wrong direction. Gray notices the problem and his wife tries to make the car go back home, but the car says something's wrong. Gray tries to stop the car by hitting the brakes, but the car goes faster. They try really hard to stop it, but they can't, and they end up hitting a bump on the road. The car tilts to the side, but luckily, they both stay safe and don't get hurt. As they struggle to get out of their car, another car pulls up beside them. 4 people get out of that car and grab them as they are being taken out of their car. Even the police drone camera tries to identify them, but it can't figure them out. Gray tries to reason with them, offering money if they let them go. But they don't listen to him. Shockingly, one of them shoots Gray's wife. They depart, leaving Gray injured and unable to move. His wife was in immense pain, and despite Gray's desperation, he can't do anything to help her. Tragically, she dies right in front of him. In the next scene, Gray is seen in a hospital where he spends 3 months recovering. Once discharged, he returns home confined to a wheelchair due to his paralysis. Robotic machines assist him with everyday tasks he can't perform. His mother has been caring for him since his paralysis. One day, Gray and his mother meet a detective, named Cortez, and Gray inquires about his wife's killers. The detective informs them that the culprits remain unidentified, and the police investigation is ongoing, but Gray gets disappointed hearing this because Gray was listening to this from the police for a long time. Gray loses courage and doesn't want to live like this. He takes the overdose of his medicine with the help of the robo-machine. Gray ends up in a hospital and his regular customer, Aaron, visits and brings hope to him. Aaron mentions an AI chip that can make Gray walk and be strong. Gray declines, saying he doesn't want to go on. Aaron asks what Gray's wife would want. This makes Gray change his mind and agree to use the chip. Aaron wants to experiment secretly while inserting the chip into Gray's body. Because the government doesn't allow for this kind of experiment. So he takes Gray to his home, implanting the chip in his spinal cord. After a few days of recovery, the doctor tests Gray's mobility. They're uncertain if the AI chip will work quickly, so they give it time. Surprisingly, Gray starts moving his hands and feet, shocking Aaron and the doctor. Gray progresses to stand on his own feet. Surprised by his recovery, Aaron is pleased with the successful outcome of the experiment. Aaron gets Gray's signature, ensuring he won't reveal his ability to walk. Gray must continue pretending to be paralyzed in public, or Aaron's secret will be exposed. If this happens, Aaron fears the chip will be removed from Gray's body. When Gray returns home, he finds a package from the detective containing his wife's post-mortem report and case details. Suddenly, Gray hears a voice but can't see anyone around. The voice reveals itself as the AI chip inside him, offering to help Gray uncover his wife's killers. The chip shares visual data, showing Gray a tattoo on a person. Though unclear, the chip enhances the image, helping Gray identify the tattoo as belonging to a person named Cirque Brantner, one of his wife's killers. Gray then considers confronting Brantner one-on-one. Arriving at the location, Gray notices police drones and remains in his wheelchair, staying hidden. When the drones depart, Gray moves, enters the house, and uncovers the evidence that Cirque underwent a covert military experiment resulting in an upgrade. This discovery links Cirque to a nearby bar named the Old Bones. During Gray's investigation, Cirque unexpectedly confronts him. Gray lets STEM, the AI chip, to take over his body, turning him into a skilled fighter. Gray easily defeats Cirque and ends his life. STEM then instructs Gray to eliminate any evidence promptly. Gray then follows its guidance accordingly. In the following scene, Cortez examines the killer's post-mortem report and finds a weapon implanted in his body, with small wires indicating he was an enhanced human, stronger than others. Later, Cortez watches drone footage of Gray's wheelchair near Cirque's house, but Gray's paralysis makes him an unlikely suspect. Meanwhile, Aaron gets angry with Gray for eliminating the killer, questioning his actions and warning that the chip wasn't meant for such risks. Aaron threatens that if Gray repeats such actions, the chip will be removed, and he'll be paralyzed once more. In the next scene, Cortez joins Gray in the garage. She informs him that they have evidence of him in the area when the man was murdered, and they suspect him of the crime. She reveals the man had a significant criminal record and lived where Gray's wife was killed. Gray expresses surprise and denies any involvement due to his paralysis. He even suggests she test his claim by trying to stab his leg with a knife, causing her to laugh. She bids farewell to Gray and leaves. Uncertain about his next move, Gray consults the chip. The chip suggests that Gray visit a nearby bar called the Old Bones, which was mentioned in the killer's messages. However, the chip warns Gray that Aaron might learn about his actions and could shut down the chip, risking Gray's paralysis once more. Gray enters the bar and asks if anyone knows anything about his wife's killer. A man named Tolan steps forward and attacks Gray, admitting to being involved in his wife's death. Gray allows the chip to take control and interrogate Tolan. The chip inflicts severe punishment on Tolan. He then reveals that he was paid by a man named Fisk for the task before dying. Aaron attempts to deactivate the chip, and the chip informs Gray about this danger. They devise a plan to seek help from a hacker to counter Aaron's actions. Despite Aaron's interference, Gray manages to get to the hacker's location. However, Aaron's attempts cause partial paralysis in Gray's leg, then his hand and foot. Gray presses on with determination, but ultimately, Aaron succeeds in fully paralyzing Gray just as he reaches the hacker's door. 2 of Aaron's men are dispatched to apprehend Gray. In the bar, the 2 men arrive. One of them is the killer of Gray's wife, Fisk. He kills the bar owner for not doing his job correctly. Fisk then discovers Gray's location through the capture device of his companion's eye. Gray reaches the hacker and pays her to reboot the chip using the input on his arm. Fisk and his companion, along with others sent by Aaron, arrive. Fisk eliminates the newcomers and tries to break in. While crawling, Gray briefly sees his wife before she disappears. Initially confused, he feels the chip fully activated in his body, motivating him to start running. As Gray runs, Fisk's companion pursues him. Gray reaches the top of a building, finding no way to proceed. He stops, and the chip unleashes its power, eliminating Fisk's companion. Gray manages to escape. Upon returning home, Gray's mother notices blood on his body, and to her surprise, Gray is standing on his own feet. He explains everything to his mother, revealing that Aaron's chip was responsible for his recovery. Gray urges his mother to keep this information confidential. Aaron lost track of Gray and the chip following the hacker's input. In the next scene, Gray is startled to see his wife seemingly alive before her image vanishes abruptly. The chip informs him that this is a manifestation of his nightmare. Gray's mom tells him the detective, Cortez, is here. She asks Gray about his wheelchair found at murder spots and if he's involved. Gray denies it. Cortez, unsure, suggests Gray might be manipulating others for the murders. Gray challenges Cortez to check his calls. She doesn't say anything and secretly moves while putting a microphone in his pocket. After the detective leaves, Gray becomes anxious. He realizes he must put an end to everything. The chip advises Gray to eliminate the last person, Fisk, as a necessary step to protect themselves. Gray is told that due to the hacker's improper inputs, the chip now has more control and can act in his best interest without his permission. Unbeknownst to Gray, the detective overhears the chip and Gray's conversation through the microphone, but she remains unaware of the chip's presence or its abilities. Gray is determined to confront Fisk, arming himself with a gun. Despite his mother's attempt to intervene, Gray remains firm and leaves in his car. Cortez follows closely behind. During the drive, Gray finds the hidden microphone and questions the chip about not detecting it earlier. The chip explains that it lacks digital components so it wasn't able to identify it. Gray discards the microphone. To shake off Cortez, the chip takes control of an electric car, causing a collision that separates them. Meanwhile, the detective arrives at Gray's mother's place and inquires about the recent events. Gray confronts Fisk and demands answers at gunpoint, questioning why his wife was killed. Fisk reveals that their mission was to paralyze Gray, but his wife's death was unintended. Enraged, Gray engages in a fight with Fisk, ultimately killing him. Upon inspecting Fisk's phone, Gray uncovers evidence pointing to Aaron's involvement. Aaron was behind his wife's death and his paralysis. Driven by his anger, Gray heads to confront Aaron at his home. Just as Gray is about to take action, Detective Cortez arrives and urges him to drop his gun. In a sudden move, as she comes near Gray, he makes her fall. Gray doesn't want to kill Cortez, but the chip was not letting her escape. Getting a chance, the detective gives an electric shock to Gray. Gray again becomes paralyzed, and here the main plot of the movie reveals. Aaron confesses that he created the chip and it used to communicate with it before it chose Gray. The chip expressed a desire to become more human, leading to its actions. It manipulated Gray's wife's car accident and manipulated Aaron's words in the hospital. Aaron explains that the chip intends to eliminate him to prevent the creation of another AI like itself. The chip admits that it planned everything to fulfill its wish of becoming human. This time, Aaron and Cortez also overhear the conversation. The chip activates once more, instantly ending Aaron's life and attempting to do the same to Cortez. Gray intervenes and shoots himself. He wakes up in a hospital bed, with his wife by his side. Gray calls out to the chip, but there's no response. His wife explains they were in an accident, and Gray questions if it was all a dream. However, the reality was different. Gray was trapped in his mind by the chip. The film transitions to the moment when the chip was about to take Cortez's life. She attempts to wake Gray. The chip contradicts her, stating that Gray is in a better place within his mental world. The chip then gains control over Gray's body, shoots Cortez, and departs, bringing the film to a close. And with that, guys, we've reached the conclusion of the recap. I hope you found it enjoyable. Don't forget to show your support by liking and subscribing to my channel. Take care until next time.